The smart way to buy a car always used to be buy the used car.
This car is a finisher car!
But now some used cars are actually more expensive than newer cars.
I can't afford that.
I actually just recently bought a car myself, so here are 3 pieces of advice that you can take as well. Number 1 is know your numbers. Know what you can afford. This is so important because so many people just randomly want to buy a car and maybe they emotionally get caught up because that newer car seems awesome, but at the same time, you may not be able to afford that car. So remember, you've got to know your numbers going up front. How much can you actually afford of a payment? Now I know there's some people out there that are going to tell you, they're like, hey, if this is more than 8% of your net worth, don't do it. If it's 5,000, if you don't have much money, only get a $5,000 car. Hey, I've looked at cars with my teenage kids. There are hardly any $5,000 cars, even used ones, that are even worth putting a dollar on, okay? So I'm just telling you here, like 5,000 or whatever number they might give you is ridiculous. Find a car, but make sure you know that your numbers are good. Make sure you know the monthly payment that you can actually afford. Even if things get a little bit tight, you're still gonna be okay. So know your numbers. Also, know, this is the bonus here, if you have money to put in up front, you might be able to get a better deal from the dealership. So if you can put a little bit of a down payment, if you got a little bit of extra savings beyond your emergency fund, you could do that too. Now, at least number 2 is know your priorities, right? Know what you really want. Because here's the problem. Like everybody says, just buy that used car. Duct tape that bumper until the thing falls apart on you and, falls over the freeway and bumper goes flying off and then kills somebody and then you get sued and all this other junk, right? We don't want that happening to you. And so know your priorities. Is your priority just going from point A to point B? Is this a short distance that you need? Just something that way. Maybe you want something more economical. Maybe something that's better. Maybe you don't even care about gas mileage because you're not driving that often. Maybe you're driving and commuting a lot. You need better gas mileage. Know that because that might narrow down some of the options of cars you're going to get. And also too, when I'm looking at debating between a used car or a new car, for the most part myself, I like to buy the car that's a couple years old. I like it slightly used, but not too much. I like to have my miles maybe below 40,000 miles versus up in the hundreds of thousands of miles. But again, it just depends on your priority because if you're just trying to get into a car, you might have to buy that car that has 100,000 or more miles on it just to be able to afford something. And that's okay. Just know your priorities. Know what you really want. A newer car, here's a good thing about a newer car. That newer cars sometimes will come with different warranties. You're not really worried about out-of-pocket expenses. Where a used car, it's very possible you might have to do repairs, replace parts. So although it might be cheaper up front, still because you might be putting more money into fixing and repairing it, you might be spending more. Give you an example. I was listening to the Dave Ramsey show, right? If you want to hear bad advice, just watch Dave Ramsey stuff sometimes. And I remember he was telling somebody, because this guy said, listen, Dave, I've got a car, I've duct taped the bumper, literally. This car I've had for years. However, I'm gonna have to put about $5,000 into it. Here's the problem, Dave. It's worth $5,000. Do I put $5,000 into it or just go buy a newer car that's more reliable? And Dave says, you do whatever it takes so you keep that thing running as long as possible. Don't you ever get a loan. Don't ever get a car loan. I think that's bull. I think that's horrible, impractical advice, right? Because let's be honest. Why would he pay $5,000 for a $5,000 car, right? He's already had it paid off. Why put $5,000 more into it, possibly each year? If that were the case, you might as well pay a $400 a month payment into a more reliable, newer car and have that be there and still have some value. That thing is going to turn into almost worth nothing anyways. Why not have something that's a little bit newer? So again, know your priorities, know what you really want because that is key. Again, you may not care about the newer car. For some people, the new car is great. Here's another thing too. If you're somebody who actually knows about car values and how it all works, buying a new car might be your best investment. I have a brother-in-law, he's been in the car business for a long time. He knew exactly how to buy the car at the right price when it's brand new and then turn around, sell it a few years later to basically almost break even. And then he would go and do it again. He told me, he said, Chris, it's almost like renting a car. I could rent it for maybe a few $100 a month, turn around and still get it again. This kind of goes along with some people might look at lease options and things like that. Overall, I'm not a big fan of lease options, but on a rare occasion, sometimes it might be good. Sometimes it might give you a 0% lease option with some better terms on the back end. Again, you got to know your terms. And that really leads to number 3 is know the terms of what's going on here. And in fact, I'll tell you this, ignore the interest rate. If you have to get bank financing for this car, a lot of times people say go for the lowest interest rate possible. Well, here's the problem. The lowest interest rate is usually the shortest term loan. Why? Because banks, they want you to pay it off as soon as possible. So they will incentivize you with a lower interest rate by having a shorter term. But there's a catch here. that can be very, very risky, because if the interest rate, even if it's lower, but the thing is, if it's a shorter term, you pay more every month. If you don't have the ability to pay for that payment every month, you could be in trouble. If something goes wrong, you may not be able to afford it, and you could lose that newer car. So beware that the terms, the length of time of the loan is more important than the interest rate. So let me give you an example. Say you're trying to buy a $30,000 car and you get in a 3-year loan at 7%. Do you know that you'll pay over $900 a month for that loan? However, let's just say you decide to get a 5-year loan and we raise the interest rate 1% more to 8%. Well, guess what? That payment drops over $300 a month to just about $600 a month. That's the difference, guys. I think, personally, you should have a lower payment. Don't even worry about the interest rate. The truth is, between 8 and 9% or 7 and 8% or even 6 and 9 or whatever it might be is not that big of a deal over 5 years. On a mortgage, different story. But for a car, for the next 3 to 5 or maybe 6 years that you get that loan, it's not that big of a deal. Now, I do agree, don't try to keep that loan going out forever. Don't go like 6, 7 years if you're trying to really stretch it out and you might pay a lot more interest. Find the right balance for you. But just remember, it's not just about the interest rate. That's the banks trying to get you to do what they want you to do. Do what's right for you. Just so you know, for my situation, I've got lots and lots of cash flow. I have lots of passive income coming in from my real estate investments and whatnot. I'm not too strapped for cash. So when I went to buy my car, although I could have paid cash for it, I didn't. And by the way, I bought a brand new car. Why? Because my wife wanted it. That's the truth. I wanted the 4-year-old car. She wanted the brand new car. She won. When it came to getting this car, instead of paying cash for it, because I know I can go and invest that money and make a lot more than what I pay the bank, I decided I was going to get a loan. Now, when looking at loan terms, I did find a 3-year car loan that they offered for just that particular month, a 3-year car loan at 3.9%. So I got great low interest rate, but I knew also I could still afford the payment. Yeah, the payment was higher than what it would normally been if I got a 5-year or 6-year car loan, but I was okay. My cash flow can more than support that. So I can still make that $700 or $800 a month payment, no problem. That's the thing that's really important. What's your cash flow? How does it affect your month to month? Can you still make sure that you're gonna be safe? And by the way, don't just drain your entire savings account to put a down payment on a car. Keep some money in cash just in case something goes wrong. If you do happen to have a hard month, something like that, if you got extra savings, you can still keep making that payment to help pay that car off down the road. Don't be too aggressive. Don't pay it off too fast. Just pay it off minimum monthly payments until you get to the point where it becomes a no-brainer to pay it off because you got more than enough savings to do so. But never ever drain your savings account to do that. Now, you may be wondering, are there some cooler things you can do with that? There's strategies like infinite banking where you can actually use it. If there's a really high interest rate you're getting offered by the bank, you can actually get a line of credit from an insurance company at a lower rate potentially and be able to buy your cars that way. And it's even better than just buying it in cash. Now, I'm not gonna go into huge details about that, but a lot of people have been asking me about how is this infinite banking thing? Is it too good to be true? Well, check out this next video to find out how.